The Naughtiest Girl Again by Enid Blyton. Elizabeth Allen was excited. The long summer holidays were almost over, and it was time to think of going back to school. She had told her mother all about Whiteleaf School. It was for boys and girls together. Every week, a school meeting was held, and all the children had to attend. The head boy and girl were judges, and the 12 monitors were the jury. Any grumbles or complaints had to be brought to the meeting, and if any child had behaved wrongly, the other children thought out a suitable punishment.
Oh, Mummy, I'll see all my friends again soon. The winter term ought to be fun.
Elizabeth, do you remember what a fuss you made about going away to school for the first time last term? How you said you'd be so naughty and disobedient that you would be sent home again?
Yes, I was stupid and silly. Goodness, when I remember the things I said and did, I was quite determined to be sent back home.
And after all, you weren't sent back, because you found you wanted to stay. I hope you won't be the naughtiest girl in the school this term.
I shan't be the best either. I'm sure to get into trouble of some sort. I'll really do my best this term.
The next day, Elizabeth's mother took her up to London to catch the train that was to take her and the other children to the school. The rail journey was a long one, but at last the train came to a stop at a little country station. The children got into 2 large coaches which took them to the school. As Elizabeth got down from the coach, she looked around and saw a boy and 2 girls, newcomers, wondering where to go.
Joan, let's go and look after the new ones. They're looking a bit lost.
Right.
Hello, you 3. Come with us and we'll show you where to go.
So you've taken the newcomers under your wing? I was just coming to see about them. Good. Thanks, Elizabeth and Joan.
That's Rita, the head girl. And look, there's William, our head boy. They're all right. Come on, this way.
Everyone soon settled down. The new boy and 2 new girls were in Elizabeth's form. The form mistress, Miss Ranger, took down their names: Jennifer Harris, Kathleen Peters, Robert Jones. The children were given their places in class, and Joan and Elizabeth sat next to one another, much to their delight. Jennifer was a jolly-looking girl. Kathleen was pasty-faced, very plain and spotty, with an unpleasant expression. Robert was a big boy with a rather sullen face. The children were allowed to have their own pets, provided they could be kept in cages. Joan had 2 rabbits that Harry had given her last term, and Jennifer, the new girl, had some small white mice. The big happening of each week was the school meeting. The 2 headmistresses, Miss Bell and Miss Best, always came. They sat at the back and did not take any part unless the children called on them for help.
Quiet, please. For the new children, you see at the jury table our 12 monitors. We choose them ourselves because we can trust them to be sensible and loyal.
I hope you have all brought your money with you. As you all know, any money we have is put into this big box, and out of it we take £2 for every person each week. If you want any more than £2, you must say why, and it will be given to you if it is deserved. Now, get your money ready. Nora, take round the box, would you?
I've got £10 from my grandfather. I don't see why I should put it into the box. Shan't see it again.
Robert, sometimes we have a birthday and get lots of money, and sometimes we haven't any at all. By putting all our money into the big box each week, we can always have £2 to spend. So, put your money in.
Oh, very well.
Cheer up, Robert. Any requests for extra money this week, anyone? No? Now, you all understand that any bad behaviour must be reported to the meeting. I hope the new children understand this does not mean telling tales. Right. The meeting is closed.
It was two of the new children who disturbed the peace of the form. Robert was spiteful and unkind, and Kathleen was so quarrelsome it was difficult to be nice to her.
Jenny's fine, and such a clever mimic. But I simply can't bear Robert or Kathleen. You know, I think Robert's cruel, Joan.
Why? Has he been unkind to you?
No, not to me. But yesterday I saw little Janet running away from him crying. I believe Robert had been pinching her.
I shouldn't be surprised.
I think Robert's a bully. He's always running after the smaller ones, giving them sly pinches.
Wait till I catch him. I'll report him at the very next meeting.
Well, be sure you get your facts right, or Robert will say you're telling tales. Shh, he's coming.
Hey, don't bump into me.
Oh, I didn't see you.
I'll give you such a...
Stop, Elizabeth. He only did it to make you annoyed.
From that moment on, Elizabeth and Robert were enemies. Each of them was pleased when the other did badly in class. At games, they did all they could to defeat each other. They were often on opposite sides, and if Robert could give Elizabeth a whack over the hand with his lacrosse stick, he would. One afternoon, Elizabeth went round to play with the rabbits. On the way, she heard a little boy calling out in a pleading voice.
Please don't swing me so high. Coward. I feel sick. I should fall off. Let me down, Robert. No, let's go a bit higher.
Stop! You'll make Peter ill.
Mind your own business. He asked me to give him a swing, and I'm giving him one.
You beast.
Hey, let go of my hair. Ouch! You've pulled some out.
There now, Peter. Off you go. As for you, Robert, I'll report you at the next meeting.
You do that.
The time for the weekly meeting came, and the money matters were dealt with first, as usual. Then William asked if there were any complaints. Elizabeth and Robert stood up together.
You first, Robert.
Oh, please, William. I have such a serious complaint to make.
It will keep. Sit down.
But it's about Robert.
Elizabeth, do as you're told.
Well, Robert, what have you to say?
I hope this isn't telling tales, but I really must complain about Elizabeth Allen's behaviour to me. I've always tried to be fair to her.
Oh, you know you haven't.
Silence, Elizabeth.
Anyway, I really can't let her pull my hair out and slap my face.
Will you tell us why Elizabeth did these extraordinary things?
She didn't want me to swing somebody. I was just swinging Peter, and he was squealing with excitement, and she came up and pulled out my hair and slapped me.
Thank you. Sit down, Robert. Now, Elizabeth, did you pull out Robert's hair and slap him?
Yes, I did, and he deserved it. I was going to see my rabbits when I heard somebody squealing. It was Peter on the swing, and he was shouting to Robert not to swing him so high because he was frightened.
Go on.
Well, I rushed over to stop the swing, and Robert pushed me right over. I got up and flew at Robert to stop him swinging Peter again. I thought he would fall off. It's not the only time Robert has bullied the younger ones.
All right, Elizabeth, sit down. Now, Peter, stand up. Was Robert swinging you high?
Yes, he was swinging me quite high.
Were you frightened?
No.
Did you squeal for help?
No, I was just squealing for fun.
Thank you. Sit down.
Robert must have made Peter promise to say that. Ask if there are any other young ones who would like to complain about Robert, Rita.
Well, is there anyone else who has a complaint about Robert?
There was complete silence. Nobody complained. The complaints to the meeting were so serious that the two judges and the jury took a long time to discuss them. At last, William knocked with his wooden mallet for silence.
We find this matter very difficult to decide. It is quite clear that Elizabeth did lose her temper badly, but it isn't quite as clear that Robert was bullying Peter. But we think that Elizabeth is a very just person, and it is plain that she thought Robert was doing something unkind. We have decided that unless we can get proof that Robert is a bully, we can't judge him or punish him. And as we are sure you did think he was doing something mean, we shan't punish you either, Elizabeth. But you must apologise to Robert for behaving badly to him.
That is our decision, Elizabeth and Robert. Elizabeth, guard your temper. And Robert, see that no charge of bullying is ever made against you. Right, the meeting is closed.
Robert swaggered out, hands in pocket. He had won that battle. Now Elizabeth had got to say she was sorry. Serve her right. Elizabeth had no intention of saying she was sorry. But Joan argued with her, begged her, and finally taunted her by saying she was afraid of hurting her own silly pride. Elizabeth marched straight up to Robert and apologised. Robert gave a stiff bow and accepted her apology. Elizabeth stalked off and went to the music room. Mr. Lewis could see the mood she was in. He started to play the piano, stormy at first. Then the storm died down and the music became calm and smooth. Elizabeth went to bed feeling so much better. She did not sleep very well that night. She tossed and turned, making plans to catch Robert when he was being unkind to any of the younger ones. Elizabeth was heavy-eyed and tired the next day. She did her lessons badly, especially French, and Mamselle was cross with her.
Elizabeth, how is it you did not learn your French verbs yesterday? That is not good. I am not pleased with you. Well, have you no tongue?
I did learn them, but somehow I've forgotten them this morning.
Then you will please learn them today and remember them.
All right.
You will not say all right to me in that rude way. You will say, very good, mademoiselle.
Very good, Mamselle.
Belinda, Joan and Nora had a talk together. They could see that Elizabeth was just waiting for a chance to catch Robert out, and they were afraid she would lose her temper and fly at him again. They planned to divert Elizabeth at every chance. They kept her so busy that she hardly saw Robert at all, except in class. Robert went about his own business and seemed to keep away from the little ones. He knew quite well that Elizabeth was watching him. Then, for a time, both Robert and Elizabeth forgot their quarrel in the interest of something else. Jennifer's white mice. It was one morning just before class.
Oh, I do love my little mice. Jenny, put them back. The bell's gone. Hurry! Oh, golly, I can't find them all. Is there one down my back, Elizabeth? No, I can't see one. Do come on. All right. Oh, Miss Ranger's already there.
Come along, you two. Sit down.
Elizabeth, look! There's a mouse looking out of Jennifer's collar.
Jenny, do sit still.
Yes, Miss Ranger.
Jennifer! And Elizabeth, what is the matter with you? Jennifer, come and stand by my desk. Keep still. Good gracious! There's a mouse on my desk. Where did it come from?
It jumped off my sleeve. Please, Miss Ranger.
So that's the joke. Well, it is funny this time, but it is not to be repeated. Take it back to its cage.
So off went Jenny. But the laughter had done everyone good, especially Elizabeth. She felt almost her old happy self again. Elizabeth enjoyed the games in the winter term very much indeed. She didn't know which she liked best, hockey or lacrosse. She was thrilled when Joan told her that Eileen had said that if Elizabeth went on playing lacrosse so well, she'd be in the next match. Robert was very good at lacrosse too. As soon as he heard that Elizabeth might play in a school match, he made up his mind that he would be better and take her place. In the meantime, school life went on much as usual. Elizabeth began to work very hard with John in the school garden, and they made plans together.
Your idea of crocuses growing on the bank is lovely. I wonder if the meeting will allow us extra money for the crocus corms. Let's ask, shall we?
Well, you'd better ask. You know what happened to me at the last meeting, John? It was horrid for me.
No, it wasn't, Elizabeth. The meeting was quite fair. Don't be silly.
I shan't help you in the garden if you call me silly.
All right, I'll get Jenny. She's jolly good.
I'll show you who's good.
Hey, you'll dig down to Australia if you're not careful. That's better. You'll get a face like Kathleen Peters if you aren't careful.
That's another person I don't like. She's so quarrelsome.
Well, don't start making an enemy of her too. Friends are better than enemies.
Well, nobody could make a friend of Kathleen.
It was quite true that Kathleen was tiresome. One day in class, Kathleen argued with Mamselle about her French homework, which made the teacher very cross. That evening, when most of her class were in the common room, Jennifer began to mimic the scene from the classroom. Kathleen was not there. First, Jenny mimicked Kathleen's whining voice, and then Mamselle's French accent. The children giggled. And then Jenny went too far. She said things Mamselle had not said.
Truly, Kathleen, I do not like your spots, I do not like your greasy hair, and I do not like your manners.
Jenny, shut up! Kathleen's come in.
Kathleen didn't say a word, but that night in bed she made plans to pay Jenny back. Things were not very pleasant the next 2 or 3 days. Kathleen simply would not speak to Jenny, and she also began to say things against her.
It makes me sick to see what that greedy Jenny eats. She ate 7 pieces of bread and butter and 3 buns, besides an enormous piece of cake.
That's a mean thing to say, Kathleen. Jenny is just hungry. And how awful of you to count what she eats.
Well, Jenny is greedy.
What about you and your sweets, then? You're greedy over them. You never offer anyone any.
I'm not greedy like Jennifer.
Look here, Kathleen. If you don't stop saying unkind and untrue things about Jenny, I'll report you to the next meeting.
And what about the unkind and untrue things that Jenny said about me in front of you all?
Well, they may have been unkind, but they weren't untrue.
Elizabeth was sorry she had said that. Kathleen turned away and went off without saying another word. She was really afraid that Elizabeth might report her, and decided she had better not speak against Jenny. But she would do all kinds of things to annoy her and get her into trouble. And she would do them to that interfering Elizabeth too. The next school meeting came along quickly, and a nice lot of money was put into the box.
Now, any requests for extra money?
Elizabeth, ask for the money for our crocuses. Go on, it was your idea.
I'm sure the meeting won't let me have any money after last week.
Coward.
I'm not. Rita, John and I have got some plans for the school garden. We both think it would be lovely to have crocuses growing on that bank near the gates. John says we'd want about 500 crocus corms. Please may we have the money to buy them?
What's your opinion, Jory? I see lots of nodding heads.
Yes, you can have what you want. Find out how much the corms will cost. Also, Elizabeth, I would like to say that the whole school appreciates the way you and John work at our garden.
Thank you.
What did I tell you?
Kathleen kept to her plan and began to play all kinds of mean tricks on Jenny and Elizabeth. She slipped into the classroom after tea, took out Jenny's French homework book, and made 3 large blots on the page that Jenny had just finished. Next, Kathleen went to the garden shed and took down Elizabeth's gardening tools and smothered them in mud. John would be furious. The first one to get into trouble was Jenny.
Jennifer, how can you give in work like this? It is shocking.
Why, Mamselle, is there something wrong?
Look at this page.
That can't be my book, Mamselle.
I read your name here. See? If you did not make the blots, how did they come?
I can't imagine. Honestly, Mamselle, I'm sorry.
There was half an hour free time that afternoon. Elizabeth went to the garden.
Elizabeth, you did some digging yesterday, didn't you?
Yes? What's the matter, John? You look cross.
I am cross. Look at your tools.
John, I'm sure I cleaned them when I put them away.
They don't get dirty by themselves. Have some sense.
I've got plenty. And my sense tells me I did clean them.
I'd have thought a lot more of you, Elizabeth, if you'd owned up.
John, I'm never afraid of owning up. I tell you I did clean the tools.
All right. We'll leave it at that.
We can't, John. I really do think I cleaned the tools. But if I forgot, I'm very sorry.
All right, Elizabeth.
Kathleen had watched and was delighted. What should she do next? She went back to the classroom, took Elizabeth's geography, arithmetic and history exercise books and hid them in the top of a cupboard outside. The next morning, Kathleen got up early and took 2 of Jenny's mice. She put them in a box, then hurried to her classroom, let the mice go inside Miss Ranger's desk and shut the lid. The first lesson was arithmetic.
Now get your books out and we will do a few of these sums. Come on, Elizabeth, we're waiting.
I can't find my book.
Well, you had it yesterday.
Yes, I did, Miss Ranger. I put it back in my desk when the lesson finished. But it isn't here.
Oh, well, I've got some squared paper in my desk. You can use that. Here. Oh! What on earth? There are mice in my desk! Jennifer! You are the only person in the school who keeps pet mice. It's cruel to put the poor little things in my airless desk in order to play a foolish joke on me.
Miss Ranger, I didn't put them in there.
Well, you'd better try to catch them.
Oh, they've run outside under the door. The cat might catch them.
Well, go out after them, quickly!
Oh, where are they?
Jenny, what's the matter?
Oh, Rita, somebody took 2 of my mice and put them in Miss Ranger's desk. They've run away and I can't find them.
I don't like the idea of somebody trying to get you into trouble like this. The matter must be brought up at the next meeting.
The day got worse for Elizabeth. The next 2 lessons were geography and history, and she could not find those books either. Robert bumped into Elizabeth as they went out of the classroom and asked her how many more books she was going to lose. Elizabeth tossed her head and walked off with Joan, but a thought came into her head. Could Robert have taken her books?
Joan, you heard what Robert said. I wonder if it was him who had hidden my books.
Maybe. But you can't be sure it's him.
Well, you've only got to see how pleased he is when I get into trouble to know he's at the bottom of it. Oh, if I could only catch him bullying someone again.
Elizabeth hadn't long to wait. She caught Robert the very next day. For some time now, Robert had not bullied anyone because he had been afraid of being seen by Elizabeth. But 2 or 3 weeks had now gone by, and he thought she no longer bothered to watch. Robert had to go and get some water for his painting after tea. Elizabeth saw him go out of the common room, and she said to Joan she thought he might be going to play some horrid trick. The 2 girls followed Robert down to the cloakroom where the water taps were. Running round the corner came a small boy, Leslie, and ran full tilt into Robert.
You brat! Let me go! How dare you run into me like that? Robert, let me go! Say, I humbly beg your pardon. I'm not going to be as humble as that. Let me go, you big bully. Say it. No, I shan't beg your pardon. Let me go! You'll sit on the hot water pipes first. Ow!
Ah! We've caught you nicely, Robert. Leslie, we're going to report Robert at the next meeting. Just you tell the truth and back us up.
I'll do that all right. I'm not a coward. As for Peter, Robert threatened him with all sorts of punishment if he dared say a word against him. I did not. You wait till I get you alone again. There you are, you see. But you won't get the chance. I'll report you at the meeting myself.
Robert, I also know that it's you that has been playing those tricks on me and Jenny.
I didn't.
Well, I don't believe you.
Those tricks hadn't finished. On Tuesday nights, everyone tidied their chest and cupboard, ready for Nora's Wednesday morning inspection. When Nora pulled open Elizabeth's and Jenny's drawers, she found everything in a terrible muddle. Nora was cross with them, and they did not notice how pleased Kathleen looked. On Thursday, Elizabeth had a great disappointment. The lacrosse match was to be on Saturday, and when she looked at the notice board, she found that Robert had been chosen instead of her. At the next meeting, William and Rita looked rather grave as they took their places. The usual business was done with the box of money. Then William rapped on the table with his hammer.
Any complaints or grumbles?
I have a very serious complaint to make. It's about Robert.
Go on.
Joan and I actually saw Robert bullying Leslie. He made him sit on the hot water pipes. And we found out he threatened Peter and made him promise not to complain about being swung so high.
Have you any more to say, Elizabeth?
Yes. Not only has Robert been unkind to the younger ones, he has got Jenny and me into trouble by playing tricks on us.
Is that true, Jenny?
It's quite true.
Now, Leslie, say what you have to say.
I bumped into Robert by accident. He told me I had to humbly beg his pardon, and because I wouldn't, he sat me on the hot water pipes.
Very well, Leslie. Now we should like to hear what Peter has to say.
Please, Rita, Robert did swing me too high, and I was sick afterwards.
Then why did you tell an untruth about it when we asked you?
Because I was afraid of Robert.
All right, Peter, sit down. And now, Robert, what have you to say?
Only one complaint is true.
Speak up. What do you mean, only one complaint is true?
It is true that I made Leslie sit on the hot water pipes, but I did not play those tricks on Elizabeth and Jenny. Not one!
Well, Robert, as you did not tell the truth last time, it will be difficult for us to believe you this time. Sit down. We will discuss matters with the jury.
The discussion went on for a long time, and at last Rita and William decided they would ask the headmistresses for their help. The head teachers took their places on the platform.
Quiet, everyone. Miss Bell wishes to speak.
We had a girl here once called Lucy, who became a bully because her parents had twin baby boys and she felt left out. She worked off her feelings of jealousy on other small children.
Robert, have you any brothers or sisters?
I've two, much younger brothers.
Did you like them when they were small?
No, I didn't. They took up everybody's time, and I didn't have a look in. I just seemed to hate little children. I began to be unkind to them. I pretended they were my little brothers.
And so, a bully was made.
Well, it can be stopped. It's time you put all that behind you. Don't you think so?
Yes, I do. Now I understand it will be easier to change. But I'm afraid no one will trust me now, and they won't help me.
Yes, we will, Robert.
What about Elizabeth?
Of course I'll help, if Robert wants to try. But I can't forgive him for those mean tricks he played on Jenny and me.
I tell you I didn't do them.
Somebody must have done them. Is there anyone brave enough to own up? No one, it seems.
Well, Elizabeth, you may be right. We did not believe you last time. This time, we won't believe Robert.
That's fair.
We will try to make things fair between you by saying you may play in the match tomorrow instead of Robert.
Oh, thank you.
Now, Robert, we think the best way to help you is to let you take care of something or somebody. You love horses, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Well, we are going to make a rule just for you. You will choose 2 of the horses and take care of them. When your class goes riding, you may choose one of the younger children to ride the second horse.
Thank you, William. I'll really do my best.
Right. The meeting is dismissed.
The next day was Saturday, the day of the lacrosse match. Elizabeth woke up early. There were clouds across the sky, but at least it wasn't raining. Good. And what about Robert? Well, he also woke early, his eyes shining as he thought of the 2 horses he would choose for his own special care. He remembered the lacrosse match and that Elizabeth was to take his place. He thought for a while about Elizabeth and decided he did not like her at all. Then, thinking of the lovely time he was going to have with the horses, his heart softened. He decided to go to the match, and if Elizabeth shoots a goal, he would cheer like the rest. Elizabeth spent the morning digging with John in the garden.
It's a bit of luck to be playing, John. I was so disappointed when I saw Robert's name on the board.
I expect Robert is feeling just as disappointed now.
Serve him right. He's been jolly mean to me and Jenny. Think how he dirtied my tools. And you blamed me.
I'm sorry I blamed you wrongly. I only hope you are right about Robert, and that he is not being blamed for something he hasn't done either.
After lunch, the lacrosse team changed and went to greet the Kennellan team and take them to the field. Elizabeth looked around the crowd of spectators and saw Robert. He had come to watch somebody play instead of him. What a generous thing to do. She suddenly felt rather small and ashamed. If he could do that, perhaps he had not played the tricks. As the teams ran onto the field, it began to rain. It pelted down, and the game was called off. Everybody was disappointed, especially the players. As Elizabeth ran to the school, a voice spoke in her ear. "Elizabeth, bad luck. I'm sorry." The girl turned and saw that it was Robert who had spoken. He had run off to join the others, so she couldn't answer. Somebody else was down in the dumps too. Kathleen. She felt guilty that Robert had been punished for things that she had done. She made up her mind to run away, but first she would tell Elizabeth and Jenny all that she had done. That evening, she found them in the music room.
Jenny, Elizabeth, I've got something to say to you both. I'm going home. But before I go, I want to own up. I was the one who played all those tricks on you.
You?
You were very unkind once, Jenny, imitating Mamselle and me having a quarrel, but...
I'm sorry about that. I don't wonder you wanted to pay me out for that, Kathleen.
Well, I've paid myself out too. I don't like myself any more than you like me.
Well, Kathleen, I think more of you for owning up, but my goodness, you're a spiteful person. Don't you think so, Elizabeth?
Yes, I do. And you've made me get Robert into trouble. And I'll have to put that right. I wish you'd never come to Whiteleaf.
I wish it too, but I shan't be here much longer. I'm going to pack.
Hello, you two. Wasn't that Kathleen running out?
Yes. She has just told us that she played all those tricks on us. Don't you think she's spiteful?
Don't think that way. Think instead how it must feel to be plain and jealous and dull, as Kathleen is. I feel sorry for her. I'm going to help her.
We'd better go along too.
Wait till Jones had time to say a few words.
Kathleen, I've heard all about it. You were brave to own up. Wait till Jenny and Elizabeth have had time to get over it, and they'll forgive you and be friends.
I can't stop at Whiteleaf. I've made enemies, and I feel that everybody thinks I look awful.
What a silly girl you are. Don't you know you look sweet when you smile?
I never feel very much like smiling.
We weren't very nice to you just now, Kathleen. We're sorry. We'll forgive and forget all you did to us. Don't run away.
But Robert would have to be cleared from blame at the school meeting. I'm not brave enough for that. So I'm going. Goodbye. Don't think too unkindly of me, please.
Kathleen picked up her case and went out of the room. Joan ran after her, but nothing she could say would change Kathleen's mind.
I feel awful about this. I wish I hadn't imitated Mamselle and Kathleen that evening.
What are we going to do? We'll have to report that Kathleen has run away.
What are you lot doing here? Has anything happened?
Yes, Nora, it's dreadful. We don't know what to do about it.
Well, I'm your monitor. You'd better tell me.
It's my fault. Some time ago, I imitated Mamselle and pretended that Mamselle had talked about Kathleen's spotty face and greasy hair. Kathleen heard me. She's the one who played those tricks. Now she's run away.
Poor old Kathleen. We must find Rita and get her to come to Miss Bell and Miss Best with us.
They found Rita in her study and told her what had happened. Rita called William, and together they all went to the headmistress's drawing room and knocked on the door. Mr. Johns was there too. As soon as the heads had heard what had happened, Mr. Johns jumped up. He said he would drive down to the station with Rita and see if they could find Kathleen. In a moment, they were gone. While they were away, Miss Best and Miss Bell talked the matter over with the children. Plans were made as to how everyone could help Kathleen to make her feel better. While they were talking, Mr. Johns arrived back. He told them they had found Kathleen at the station. When she saw them, she had burst into tears and came back with them quite willingly. Rita had taken Kathleen to her study and was waiting for William to join them. Elizabeth went off to find Robert to put things right. She knew she would not enjoy it one bit. Elizabeth found Robert at the stables. Bess, one of the horses he looked after, had been limping a bit, and he had gone to attend to her.
Robert, can I speak to you?
What do you want, Elizabeth?
I made a dreadful mistake about you. It was somebody else who played those tricks.
Well, I told you that.
Yes, but I told the whole school and got you punished. I can't tell you how sorry I am.
I'm glad you found out it wasn't my fault. Who was it?
I can't tell you at present, but I'd like you to forgive me.
You needn't worry about that. Don't let's be silly anymore. Let's be friends. Come and ride Captain tomorrow morning before breakfast. I'll ride Bess if her leg is better.
I'd like to be friends. I'll be up really early tomorrow.
Robert smiled at her, and Elizabeth slipped away. Meanwhile, what about Kathleen? Things had not been going too badly for her, for William and Rita had been kind and gentle. They told her what a good thing it was that she had not been able to run away, because now she could look her troubles in the face and find out the best way to beat them.
But I'm so unlucky. Nothing nice ever happens to me.
It isn't our luck that makes good or bad things happen, Kathleen. It's just ourselves. Jenny hasn't plenty of friends because she is lucky. It's because she is kind and generous and happy.
But I'm not pretty like Jenny.
Well, why not make the best of yourself? You have a sweet smile. If you brushed your hair 100 times, night and morning, it would soon look silky. If you stopped eating so many sweets, your spots would go. And if you go out for walks more often, you would soon get rosy cheeks and happy eyes.
Well, I'll try.
Elizabeth was up early the next morning and went to the stables. Robert was there, saddling the horses. As the two children rode off over the hills, Elizabeth surprised Robert by suggesting that he should take Kathleen with him sometimes when he rode. He wasn't keen, but finally he agreed. Robert and Elizabeth were feeling happy when they went into breakfast that morning.
Hello, everybody. Gosh, I'm hungry.
Have you been riding?
Yes, it was fun. You should come riding too, Kathleen.
Yes, do. Why don't you come with Elizabeth and me sometimes?
I'd love to. I like that horse called Bess best.
Do you really? So do I.
Soon he was telling Kathleen all about Bess and Captain, and Kathleen listened eagerly, glad that someone should speak to her in such a friendly manner. After breakfast, Elizabeth saw a new notice pinned on the notice board. She had been chosen to play in the match against Uphill School.
Hey, Joe! I've been chosen to play against Uphill.
If only we could come and watch.
Look, we've got some time before class. Come and give me some catching practice.
We'll have to hurry. Come on, let's run.
Hey, whatever are you in such a hurry for?
I'm going to give Elizabeth some catching practice. She's been chosen to play in the match against Uphill.
Has she? Well, good for you, Elizabeth. See you later.
That was nice of Robert, wasn't it?
He looked awfully disappointed. I expect he hoped he might get the chance this time, as he was prevented last time by the school meeting.
Oh.
Elizabeth didn't enjoy the practice very much after all. She was thinking of Robert. She had prevented him from being able to play in the match last Saturday, even though she hadn't played herself after all because of the rain. She thought about it all day, and then made up her mind. It would only be fair if Robert played instead of her. Elizabeth went off to find Eileen. It was very disappointing for Elizabeth, but it would be a nice surprise for Robert. Eileen was in the gym, busy doing some exercises, but she stopped when she saw that Elizabeth wanted to speak to her. Elizabeth explained why she felt that Robert should play instead of her. Eileen agreed it was right and put up a new notice on the notice board about the change. Robert saw it as he came into dinner and stared at it in amazement. It was Nora who told Robert what Elizabeth had done. After dinner, Robert found Elizabeth working in the garden.
Hi, Elizabeth. You're a sport, but I'd rather you played on Saturday.
I shan't, Robert. It's such a good way of trying to make up for the mistake I made.
But I don't mind whether you try to make up for your mistake or not.
But I mind. I shall think better of myself if I do this. Really, I shall.
Well, all right. Thanks.
I hope you shoot lots of goals.
I'll try.
The week went by and Friday came, the night of the school meeting. The usual business of the meeting was carried out. Then William rapped the table with his hammer.
Before we dismiss, Elizabeth has something to say.
Last week, I accused Robert of playing some mean tricks on Jenny and me. You said that Robert shouldn't play in the match as a punishment. Well, I was wrong. It wasn't Robert, it was somebody else.
Who was it?
Quiet.
Who was it?
Rita and I, as judges, have decided that for the present we shall not give you the name of the child. Carry on, Elizabeth.
I'm very sorry for what I said. Robert was very nice about it indeed.
May I say something, William? Elizabeth is letting me play in Saturday's match instead of her. I think that's very good of her, and I want the whole school to know about it.
Good on you,
Elizabeth.
Saturday came, sunny and bright. Elizabeth tried her hardest to be glad it was such a fine day, but she couldn't help feeling disappointed that she wasn't playing. But something happened at dinner time that changed all that. Brian, one of the best players in the team, had fallen ill and couldn't play. Elizabeth was picked instead. Elizabeth's heart jumped for joy. She was sorry for Brian, but she was really going to play. The coach arrived at Uphill School. The Whiteleaf children looked at the opposing team and thought they seemed very big and strong. The teams lined up in their places. The whistle blew and the game began. Mr. Warlow, the Whiteleaf Games Master, was always anxious during a match and talked aloud during the exciting bits.
Robert's got the ball. Elizabeth's beside him. Oh, good pass, Robert. Shoot, Elizabeth. Oh, dear. Good save. Well tried, Elizabeth. Now Uphill have got the ball. They're closing on our goal. Oh, no, they've scored. 1 up to Uphill. Elizabeth's got the ball again. She's going to pass to Robert. Oh, she's tripped. The Uphill girl has got it. She's closing on our goal. Intercept her, Eileen. Too late. They've scored again. 2 goals to Uphill. Half-time. Now gather round, team. Now you must play up Whiteleaf. Robert, keep near to Elizabeth, and Elizabeth, pass more quickly to Robert when you're attacked. You two are running like the wind today. Shoot at goal whenever there's a chance. Nora, feed Elizabeth with the ball whenever you can. She may be quick enough to outpace the Uphill girl marking her. Right, second half. Go on and play your hearts out. Oh, well intercepted, Nora. That's it. To Elizabeth. Oh, nice pass. Well caught, Robert. That's it, back to Elizabeth. Run, girl, run! Shoot! Oh, what a beauty! She scored! Now, team, go! Lovely catch, Nora. To Robert. That's it. Look out, Robert. Oh, well dodged. Lovely pass to Nora. Go, Nora, go! Oh, well shot. Good girl. That's 2-all and 10 minutes to play. Oh, uphill are really playing now. We must keep them out. Well saved, Eileen. Play up, Whiteleaf. Only 3 minutes left.
On the field, Elizabeth heard Mr. Warlow's shout.
3 minutes, Robert. Pass the ball. Look out. There's a goal behind you. Pass.
Catch, Elizabeth. Well held.
Go inside, Robert. Catch. Shoot, Robert. Shoot. Oh, wonderful. Oh, Robert, you are marvellous to shoot the winning goal just in time.
Well, Elizabeth, we've won. We've never beaten uphill before.
The two teams trooped off the field and went into wash. It was nice to feel cold water, for they were all so hot. Uphill School laid on a splendid tea for everyone. Elizabeth hadn't been able to eat much dinner, but she made up for it at tea time. All the children were tired, but their tongues still worked well. They chattered and laughed excitedly as the coach took them back to Whiteleaf. What a wonderful reception the team got when the school learned that Whiteleaf had won. Everyone cheered wildly when they heard the news.
Who scored the goals?
Nora, Elizabeth, and Robert. Robert shot his almost as the whistle went for time. Another second and it would have been too late.
3 cheers for Nora, Elizabeth and Robert. Hip, hip.
Hooray!
Hip,
Hooray!
hip, hooray!
I'm so glad we both had the chance to play together, Robert.
Me too, Elizabeth.
Kathleen was as delighted as anyone, and happy too. Her hair was already shiny, and she hadn't eaten a single sweet, so her spots were nearly gone. She had been busy working on 2 handkerchief cases, and embroidered them carefully and well. Just as Kathleen was finishing the very last stitch, Jenny came into the common room.
Hello, Kath. What are you so busy about? Let's see. My goodness, what tiny stitches. I wish I could sew like that. I want a handkerchief case.
Well, this is for you. I've done one for Elizabeth too.
You're a pal. Thanks a lot. Here is Elizabeth. Look! Hi, Elizabeth. Come and see what you've got for an unbirthday present.
Oh, Kathleen, thank you. It's beautiful.
I just wanted to make up for those mean tricks. I'm glad you're pleased.
The term went on happily. Elizabeth was working hard at her music, and Mr. Lewis was very pleased with her.
Can Richard and I play our duets at the school concert again, Mr. Lewis?
Oh, yes. Richard is playing his violin, too. Have you heard him playing his latest piece?
No, but I'd like to.
Richard, will you play?
With pleasure.
Oh, I wish I could play like that. Can't I learn to play the violin too, Miss Lewis?
My dear child, you already fill your days too full. No, stick to the piano.
But Richard plays the piano too, and the violin.
And he doesn't do anything else. He thinks of nothing but music.
I'll make him think of something else. Come and practice lacrosse with me tomorrow, Richard.
Me? Play lacrosse? Elizabeth, you must be joking.
The next day, Elizabeth was in trouble again. And worse, she quarrelled with John. They had built a big rubbish heap, and John said they would light it later on. But when Elizabeth went to find John in the garden to light the fire, he wasn't there. Elizabeth decided to light it herself. In a trice, the bonfire was burning furiously. And then she suddenly noticed something. The wind was blowing the flames of the bonfire near the shed. Just then, John was coming down the path.
Oh, I hope the shed won't catch on fire. John, quick!
Elizabeth, I'll get the hose. Turn the tap on.
Thank goodness. It's going out.
Why in the world did you light the bonfire? You know I'm in charge. You might have burnt the shed down.
Don't talk to me like that. It would have happened just the same if you had lit it.
I'm not quite so foolish as to light a bonfire with the wind blowing the flames straight towards the shed. Have a little sense. You're a real nuisance, and I don't want you in the garden anymore.
Oh, you hateful boy! After all the help I've given you.
Oh, go away. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Half an hour later, both children were thinking deeply about the row. Elizabeth admitted to herself that she had been wrong. John knew that Elizabeth had been silly, not bad, and he did want her help in the garden. At just the same time, they both decided to look for the other. They met round the corner of the garden path, each looking rather ashamed. "Sorry," they both said, and off they went together, the best of friends. It takes more than a quarrel to break up a real friendship. One afternoon, Joan was leading the nature ramble. She and Kathleen were walking along together, Kathleen humming a little tune to herself. Joan looked at her.
It's funny how people change. I've seen Robert change. And now you're changing, right in front of my very eyes.
Yes, I know. But there's one way I haven't changed, Joan. I'm still a coward.
How do you mean?
I know that I should stand up in front of the whole school and tell them it was me who played those tricks, but I daren't.
Why not? You know quite well that the school would think more of you for owning up. But if it leaks out that you did them and didn't own up, we should think much worse of you. Everybody has courage, but they don't always use it.
You mean I don't have to be a coward?
You are an idiot. No one has to be a coward. Try it at the next meeting. You'll see what I mean.
At the next meeting, Kathleen found her courage, took hold of it in both hands, and stood up.
I want to say something I should have said before. I was the person who did all the things that Robert was accused of. I was afraid to own up before.
And what has made you able to own up now?
Well, it was something Joan said. She said we all had courage in us, only we had to take hold of it. And Joan was right. I wasn't afraid anymore.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Now we must choose a new monitor. Give out the slips of paper, please, Eileen. As most of you know, everyone must write down the name of the person they think should be a monitor. Right. It looks as if everyone has finished. Papers to the jury, please.
Okay,
Right.
never mind. Just pass them off, okay?
Now, jury, will you give us the name of the 3 children with most votes, please? Thank you.
There isn't much doubt as to who you want for a new monitor. It is Joan Townsend.
The term slipped into December. The school was very busy, planning and preparing plays and songs of all kinds. Elizabeth practiced her music pieces hard and played the duets over and over again with Richard. My goodness, she would show everyone at the concert how well she played.
Elizabeth, you're getting conceited about your playing. It's a pity.
Don't be so horrid, Richard. I don't tell you you're conceited, do I?
No, because I'm not. I know quite well my gift for music has nothing to do with me, really. It's a real gift. I'm thankful for it, but I'm not conceited about it. Remember, pride comes before a fall.
Elizabeth was annoyed with Richard. She went on planning to show off at the school concert. She, Robert, John and Kathleen had arranged to go out riding one afternoon. Peter wanted to go too. Peter's usual horse was limping, and Robert didn't want him to ride the Tinker because it was too restive. At last, Robert said they would see what the horse was like at 2 o'clock. When 2:00 came, there was no sign of Robert. Elizabeth thought Tinker seemed quiet, so she helped Peter to the saddle. The 4 children cantered out into the lane, and as they trotted round a corner, a steamroller came rumbling down the lane. Tinker reared in fright and bolted, with Peter holding on for dear life. Elizabeth gave chase and eventually managed to get hold of Tinker's reins and bring him to a stop. Peter was trembling, so Elizabeth sent him back on her horse and led Tinker back on foot.
Elizabeth, how could you be so silly as to let Peter ride Tinker?
Tinker seemed to be all right.
That's right, just like a girl. Just cry and think I'll be sorry for you.
I twisted my wrist as I grabbed Tinker's reins, and I feel terrible about letting Peter ride Tinker.
Let me see your hand. Oh, looks bad. You'd better go and see Matron.
The matron wrapped a wet bandage tightly round Elizabeth's swollen wrist, then made a sling for her to wear to keep her arm as still as possible. Elizabeth went off to the common room where her friends were waiting to see her.
Elizabeth, is your hand badly hurt?
It does hurt a bit.
Poor old Elizabeth.
Is Elizabeth here? Oh, there you are. I'm sorry about your wrist. I suppose you won't be able to play the piano for a while now.
Oh, my goodness. I had forgotten that. Oh, dear. And I wanted to practice hard this week.
It's bad luck, Elizabeth. I hope your hand will be well enough to play at the concert.
I think I'll go and try. Oh, Richard, I didn't know you were here.
What's the matter? Why are you crying?
Because what you said has come true. You told me I was getting conceited about my playing, and that pride comes before the fall. Well, you were right. I've hurt my wrist, and I can't play the piano.
Oh, I am sorry. Now I suppose I'll have to play the duets with Harry. Cheer up, it may not be as bad as you think. I'll play to you if you like.
In a few days' time, the doctor said Elizabeth could use her wrist again. It would gradually come right. She must be patient. Well, that was one thing that Elizabeth could not be. She was upset, and she showed it. She was annoyed, and everyone knew it. The form were worried about Elizabeth and disappointed in her. She needed things to do. Joan took her to one side.
Let's have a talk, Elizabeth. I'm a monitor now and have a right to tell you a few things.
I know I'm behaving badly. I can't do anything.
Yes, you can. Why don't you help us with things for the concert? There are programs to design, crowns to paint, things you're good at.
You're right, Joan. I'm being feeble. I'll help all I can.
The last week of the term came. Exams were held every day, and the children worked hard. Elizabeth wanted to be top of her form, and so did Robert. Kathleen wanted to be top in something. She didn't mind what. Elizabeth's wrist was much better, but she could still not play the piano, and neither could she do the other things she loved. She tried to be cheerful, and she did not let anyone see how miserable she sometimes felt. She had pulled herself together and was doing all she could to help the others in every way. The school concert came. It was a most exciting afternoon. The parents who came enjoyed it, and the concert was a great success. At the end of the concert, the exam results were given. At last, Miss Bell came to Elizabeth's form.
Miss Ranger says that this form has done exceedingly good work. Now first come Elizabeth Allen and...
Congratulations!
Now wait a moment, please. Let me finish what I had to say. First come Elizabeth Allen and Robert Jones. They have tied for first place.
Yay! Kathleen was 6th, and she had top marks in history. That evening, the last school meeting was held, and William made a surprise announcement.
I'm sorry to say we're going to lose Kenneth this term. Kenneth's parents are going abroad for 6 months, and he has to go with them. Now we have to choose a new monitor in his place. Nora, give out the slips of paper, please.
Everyone finished? Pass the votes to the jury, please.
Right, okay, now pass the vote up to the jury. And... Right, jury, the 3 top names. First is John Terry. The second is Robert Jones, whom the younger ones have voted for. And the third is Elizabeth Allen.
We've heard a great deal about Elizabeth this term. Some good and some bad. But we've noticed how well Elizabeth has been tackling a big disappointment these last few weeks and has tried to forget herself and to help her form in every way.
We know that she brought disappointment on herself, but we mustn't forget that she hurt her wrist in trying to stop Peter's horse. It was a very brave thing to do.
Well, Elizabeth, both William and I are quite sure that if we make you a monitor, we shall not be disappointed in you. Come to the monitor's table and do your best for the school next term.
With burning cheeks and shining eyes, Elizabeth marched up to the monitor's table. A monitor? Could it really be true that the naughtiest girl in the school had become a monitor? Elizabeth muttered to herself.
I shall still do silly things, I expect. But never mind, I've got my chance. I'll show everybody something next term.
And I expect she will.